Hello everyone, welcome to a new video in my cozy corner of the internet. Today I'm here because I want to try a Victorian cold cream recipe from 1894. I stumbled upon these recipes when I was searching for historical hair care. Then I ended up by cold cream recipes. They're very easy to make. I just wanted to have an actual book that I can refer to where I maybe find the PDF to show you guys. But I find what is a lot better, a real book that I purchased. And that is this. And I'm really excited. Yeah, so let's have a look at this recipe. And if it's turned out great, maybe I will just follow more recipes in this book, because there are all sorts of recipes for perfumes like eau de cologne, for chocolate, also for dandelion, and yeah, everything you can imagine. And maybe I will just make a series strolling through this book, finding recipes, trying them out. Yeah, we will see. Yeah, I'm really excited. Let's start. Here we have the page with the recipes and a description of how the cream should look. It should be white or mostly white. And there's a short mention of how to make the cream. I chose this recipe because it has few ingredients and is very simple to make. Here we have my 3 versions of the cream. The first version is the original recipe with almond oil, the sperm whale oil, which is no longer produced, and where I will use the modern substitute, cetyl palmitate. Then we have bleached beeswax or white wax and rose water. The second recipe is almost the same as the first. I just used unbleached beeswax or yellow wax instead of white wax, just to see the difference. And in the last version I don't use the cetyl palmitate, but more of the wax, just in case that you don't have cetyl palmitate or you don't want to use it, to see what the difference is. And now we can finally start with the cold cream. First we have our sperm whale oil substitute, the cetyl palmitate, which is an emulsifier but also can trap moisture, and so it softens the skin and helps to keep it moisturized. Then comes the beeswax, which helps to thicken the cream, giving it a better texture, but also to help protect the skin from water loss, and so helps smoothing it and building a protective layer, which is also breathable. Now we have the almond oil, which we use to soften the skin and to smooth it. If you don't want to use almond oil, then you can also use castor oil or a very good olive oil. It will have the same effect. Last but not least, we have the rose water, which will also soften the skin. It is said that it is against redness and will tighten the pores, and it also adds a very nice scent to the cream. But if you don't want to use the rose water because you have very sensitive skin or you just don't like the smell of it, then you can use tap water or even distilled water. So now that we have all of our ingredients, we will mix the almond oil with the beeswax and the cetyl palmitate. And we will melt everything together. Therefore, we only need to reach temperatures around 80 degrees, so set your stove on medium heat. When everything melted, we can take it off the stove and slowly adding the rose water, and we stir constantly so that everything will combine well. We need to stir until the cream cooled off completely and have a smooth look without any clumps. But if you end up with clumps, then just reheat it, melt it and stir it again until smooth. And it will firm up very nicely. Now we are finished with our first cream. And I have to say, it looks pretty good. I'm very proud. Now we have the cream with the unbleached beeswax, and the process is just the same as before. You took the wax, the acetylpalmitate, and melt it down. And after that you will stir in the rose water, and you stir until everything is smooth and combined. A little side note here, that if you heat the rose water just a little bit, not boiling, but a warm temperature, then it will incorporate a little bit easier. And here we also end up with a very nice smooth cream. It's just a little bit more yellow than the one before. And now we come to our last cold cream, which is just with the beeswax and without the acetylpalmitate. And I am very curious how it will combine and emulsify, because I don't think that beeswax alone is a very good emulsifier. Yeah, we will see. Well, I have to say that it came together way better than I expected, and I don't think that I had a great difference. I'm very surprised on how good it came together. So the 3 cold creams are finished now. I stored them in the fridge. It is now 2 days after I made them, so that we can look at how they differ. This is the first one that we made. It looks like this. And you can see when you store them in the fridge, they will get very firm, let's say. So I took a little bit on my finger. And then when you store them in the fridge, they have an additional cooling effect, which is, I have to say, it moisturizes pretty nice. It also smells slightly like rose, but I can smell the almond oil. So what I use coats nearly my entire hand, so you don't need much from it. It feels very smooth, and now it has a certain shine. If you see this with the cream, and this is without. Then we have the second cold cream that we made with the yellow beeswax, with the unbleached. And you can see that it is indeed more yellow. But from the consistency, it is the same, I would say, yeah. So just taking the tiniest amount. I don't think that I feel a difference in them. I think they are pretty much the same, just the color is different. Yeah, also in moisturizing, yeah, as you can see, my hand is now nourished. And it just smells very good. If you wait a little bit and then smell again at the cream, you notice a slightly almondish scent, but the rose is the dominant scent here. Here we have our third cold cream, which is just with beeswax, almond oil, and rose water, and which is without the sperm whale oil substitute. And you can see, I think it is a little bit more firm, but when you go in, oops. Oh no, it looks more firm, but it is a bit smoother. That's interesting. So let's see, other hand. You can see here the cooling effect at the beginning is pretty good. What I notice is that this feels a bit more fatty, more, I don't know, it's a little bit heavier. It is not as light. I mean, they are also not super light, but you can feel that it is a little bit more sticky and not so smooth. But it has no big difference, I would say. So it also nourishes very well, it moisturizes very well. And yeah, and you need just the slightest amount of it to cover your whole hands with a good amount of cream. What I notice in all of them is that they are rather oily. So I would also say it is more for the dry skin and not so much for the oily skin. If you work it in really well, it feels good. I don't know, it feels good. I really like it. So yeah, all in all, I would say my favorite from this are the first one and the second one. Because, I mean, they are the same, just the color is a bit off. And I really like the texture. If you can see here, there are small little water drops. And that is because the emulsifiers in this cream are not very strong. And this is also the reason why it is a cold cream, because the emulsion is not very strong. When you put it on the skin, it will break open and the water can just evaporate. And the evaporation of the water feels cool at the skin. The shelf life of these is when you don't store it in the fridge, I would say up to 2 or maybe 3 weeks. If you store it in the fridge, you can use it up to 2 or 3 months. As long as the cream looks good, doesn't smell weird, and doesn't let out too much water, it will be safe to use. So, this was my video about a Victorian cold cream recipe and 3 different versions of it. I hope you enjoyed it, had fun, learned something, and maybe you are inspired to do your own cold cream. If you liked this video, please leave a comment, subscribe to the channel, and like this video. And if you make this cold cream at home, then please tag me on Instagram. I would love to see the results. And I will see you in my next video. Have a good day!